This meeting is now being recorded.
Good afternoon, everybody, and I appreciate this is Sherm Henderson. I do appreciate everybody joining. It looks like we've got better than a full house. I do want to apologize on behalf of the state of Kentucky that we didn't pull it off last Saturday in the Triple Crown. We thought for sure that California Chrome would make it through the ever-enduring battle, 3 races in less than 5 weeks, but it didn't happen. Anyway, we've got quite an audience on here for a product that we have been fortunate to have introduced to us by a couple guys in Dallas, Texas, and also in Fort Myers or thereabouts, Florida, by the name of Gerald Butters and Gary Dunahee. I have been very impressed with this product. We have put the product out into the market on a beta test used in Ireland. It was very, very successful. Obviously, we have also approached a number of people in Louisville that do international mobile calls, which seems to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it gives me a great deal of pleasure to introduce the Voyport. And everybody always asks me, how do you spell that? It's V like in victory, kind of like the Kentucky Wildcats, Oyport. We do have it up. We do have a nice PowerPoint presentation to be delivered by the CEO, Dave Johnson, and his entire team. So I'm going to turn it over so we can get started, Dave. If anybody has any questions, we're going to have a nice session after that, and I look forward to hearing the presentation. Thanks. Go ahead, Dave.
Thank you, Sherm, and welcome to everyone. Thanks so much for your time. I'm joined today by Jay Rosenblatt, who's the original founder and COO of the company. Jeff Henry, who's our president based in Toronto. He's joined with Catherine, who's our head of marketing. And Elizabeth Davenport, based out of Philadelphia area, is our relatively newly appointed U.S. sales VP. And she's all about building a team in the U.S. to support you and your customer opportunities. What we want to accomplish on the call today is give you an overview of the service, the value proposition we bring to the market, the savings opportunity for your customers, and how you can get moving in bringing on customers on board. We're going to talk about a free trial opportunity for your customers, how to position the service, and then a number of sales tools, competitive analysis, presentations you can use, etc., and how to get started. So this is all about international roaming and calling. As Sherm said, this is a huge market, $50 to $60 billion market, and growing. Every year is larger than the previous year. This is focused on the business traveler, international business traveler. So any of your customers that have people traveling internationally, this is the target for you and for them. Studies show that the average roaming cost per international trip is somewhere around $700 just in roaming charges. And if you look at multiplying that across companies where they have multiple travelers, and you can then offer to them 50 to 80% savings, 50 to 80% savings on those costs, this is a meaningful number to any size company, whether it's a mid-sized company or a large company. This is a simple app that the user would download on their iPhone or Android device, and it's very easy to use. The app imports your contacts so you can quickly and easily make outbound calls. You can forward your normal cell number to your Voyport number so that while you're traveling, let's say in Europe, people can easily reach you on your normal number without having to give a separate number to people trying to reach you. And you'll realize the cost savings both for outbound calls as well as inbound calls. Equally compelling is that if you're a Voyport user calling another Voyport user, your calls are absolutely free. So kind of on-network, peer-to-peer, Voyport to Voyport is a totally free call. We're going to talk about offering free trials to some number of your customers for those that want to try before they buy and how to get them started. And as I said, talk about providing sales tools and how you can quickly get your customers engaged with the Voyport team. And we're here to help you close business and make money. So that's the purpose of the call. I'm going to ask Jay to talk through the service, the cost savings opportunity as it compares to AT&T, Verizon, and other traditional carriers, as well as new incumbents in the space. I would encourage any of you to jump in with your questions as you have them. Don't wait until the end. Just jump in with questions. We'll do our best to answer them. Then Jay's going to pass it off to my other colleagues who are going to talk through how to get started with the trials and what tools are available and how to engage Voyport in the process. So with that, maybe Jay, I'll turn to you if you wouldn't mind, and we'll start with slide 3.
Okay, we're on slide 3. All right. Well, that's a little bit of a technical challenge. I have the presentation on my computer. Unfortunately, I don't have access to. I don't seem to be seeing what you're looking at, so I'm not positive they have the latest version. Most likely it is, so I'll just check with you, Elizabeth, just each time as we change. So we're on slide 3. Let me just first elaborate a little bit about the market before we a couple things to point out, just to give you a flavor for this, and we'll get through it in the presentation. Dave mentioned there's a $60+ billion market worldwide. The average business traveler spends $500 to $700. We're talking about saving, $450 plus on average, per trip. And so corporations having thousands of travelers each month or each year, gaining access to a savings opportunity for those companies today, something they don't have currently available, is a tremendous opportunity. And I believe if you're currently offering other telecommunication services and products, those customers, same customers, you're likely not able to address that opportunity and bring value to them. And this is a tremendous service offering that if you talk to CFOs, if you talk to telecommunications, IT departments of these companies, they'll confirm to you that this is just an assumed cost of business to them today. They feel that it's captive. They're captive. There's nothing that they can do to negotiate lower rates, by and large, with the providers, with the operators, because they want to make sure that their employees can travel and communicate while they're traveling. And so we designed a service that specifically addresses those needs. We make sure that it's easy to use. We make sure that it's easy for the company to implement it as a corporate travel policy. For cost savings, we give them the tools, the information to be able to track the service and the usage by employee and by department. We make it easy for the employee to order the service, use the service, let us know if there's a problem, and we address the problems real time with live customer support, and just make it very simple to implement all across the board. So the way that, before I get into how to order it, the way the technology works in general, this is a voice-over internet application-based service. Uses mobile data or Wi-Fi, whatever is available. It's very cost-effective in terms of the amount of data that it uses, given the data roaming plans that operators charge today. And we'll get into that a little more, and we can, if there are any questions, along the way that I can to keep everyone on track, I can certainly answer that. And it's literally a voice-over internet call originated from your phone from our application, which has an interface that is easy to use, very similar to the current phone interface, the phone application on any smartphone. And it is easy to call with, easy to dial with, pulls your contacts automatically from your current contacts on your smartphone, on your iPhone or your Android, and has crystal clear quality, assuming you have a good, solid internet connection from your mobile phone. So let's go on to slide 3. But again, as Dave mentioned, please stop us if you do have any questions along the way, because can't see anybody's faces to determine whether or not people are following along with what we're talking about. So we're happy to stop and address anything that we may need to dive into a little bit more in detail. we assign a corporation a corporate ID. They give that out to the employees that they want to use the service. The employees simply order through a website that collects very minimal information. That corporate ID, their name, credit card, address, mobile number, email address, and a department code if the company wants us to track the costs and report the cost by department code. Once they order the service, they immediately get an email confirmation from us. They download the app just like they would any other app to their smartphone through the App Store for the iPhone, Google Play Store, or for the Android phone through a link that we provide so they can download it directly from our servers. They open the app. They put their mobile number in. This is just one time. They put their mobile number in, and they get a security code and a text message that they have to enter so that we can ensure that they're the appropriate customer. Once that's entered, the app is ready to go. They can make calls. Your contacts are automatically loaded. So if you make changes to your contacts, the next time you open the app, those contacts will be changed, within our application. And you can dial directly from the your contact list by selecting your contact, or you can enter a number and make a call. So, any questions so far? No? Okay. Again, the call goes, it's a voice over internet call. Connects to our network. We connect to 100 plus tier 1 carriers operators around the world, ensure that we deliver the highest quality service to complete those calls so that business travelers, busy travelers, going from country to country, meeting to meeting, they can be sure that their calls connect with the highest quality without any problems. There's some other features that add significant value to the service. Dave mentioned free calling between users, so that if Dave and I are traveling and we're in London and I'm in the hotel lobby and he's in his room waiting to go to dinner, I can call him and it's free of charge. We have no cost and we pass that savings through to the users. We also have messaging, which is free between users. Additionally, unlike traditional roaming, if you receive a telephone call when you're roaming, and even if your phone is off, you pay roaming charges. So if somebody leaves me a 1-minute voicemail while I'm in London using AT&T, I pay $1.50 per minute. But then when I listen to the voicemail, I pay another $1.50 per minute. I spent $3 receiving a voicemail from somebody that might not even be an important message, may not know that I'm traveling. With our service, pretty simple, and we'll go through the pricing detail, but it's 25 cents to receive the call, and you can listen to the voicemail anytime you want for free through the application. We also email you a recording, an MP3 recording of the voicemail, so you can listen to it. You can also forward it on to contacts or colleagues that could follow up potentially for you if you're traveling and too busy to respond back. So I'm on the next slide, finally, slide 4. The company benefits that you're presenting us to, because today this is an uncontrolled travel expense. Typically, business travelers submit an expense report, or first of all, a travel approval that may include the airfare, hotel, car rental, train, estimated food, but they don't really include anything for their roaming charges. Then when they get back, they submit an expense report for those expenses that they know, and 30, 60 plus days later, they get a bill from AT&T, Verizon, whomever, and submit another expense report. And so the companies don't have that tied specifically to the trip. They also have no way of really negotiating with the operators, because the operators to date have just said, look, we're just charging you, we're being charged by the local provider in the country that you're traveling. So We give the company the ability to save money. We give them the ability to control the expenses by providing corporate reporting at the end of the month that shows who used the service. They can figure out who didn't use the service, how much it's cost, by department, costs allocated to each department as they reported when they entered placed an order to order the service initially. And the employee they can feel that there's no pressure to get off the phone if they have to make calls. They'll actually be more inclined to make a call if it's costing them, 75% less than they would otherwise be spending. We provide concierge-level customer support 24 hours a day. So if somebody does have a problem with the service or question, not sure how to use something with the service, they can call us and they'll get a live Voyport operator, customer service operator, that can answer their questions very quickly. If they can't call us using our service, they can contact us and we'll call them back at our expense to address their problem immediately. Because we want to make sure that the people using the service don't feel that this is just another app on the phone. There's a service and there's somebody that's ready to fix any problem that they have. Additionally, we email the details of the invoice after we've charged the credit card at the end of the month, so the employee can submit an expense report directly with the detail that needed to back up that report. Next slide, customer savings. This is an example, 5-day trip to China. AT&T charges $2.50 per minute, Verizon similar, to make or receive telephone calls in China. Calling back to the U.S., calling within China, $2.50 per minute. We have a very simple pricing structure. From anywhere in the world, calling to North America or Western Europe, we charge 25 cents. To call anywhere else in the world, from anywhere in the world, we charge 50 cents. And to receive a call, we charge 25 cents. So here's an example, average. This is probably light in terms of volume because based on the research that we've seen, the average international traveler spends, as we mentioned, $500 to $700. But Asia, typically it's significantly higher. And 60 minutes is probably a light amount of time spending on the phone, but making and receiving calls and listening to voicemail. But you can see that the savings would be huge. $600 savings in this example. Now, one thing I'll point out, again, this service uses your mobile data connection. The mobile operators actually are pretty competitive in terms of the pricing that they offer for mobile data roaming. As an example, AT&T charges $30 for 120 meg of data. This application uses approximately a half a meg per minute, 0.5 meg per minute, which equates to about 12 cents per minute. So you could add in that 12 cents per minute to our price for incremental costs for using our service. That said, any business traveler going overseas is going to need an international data plan in order to communicate the email and any other corporate proprietary applications, to communicate it all already. And the data plans actually provide a lower per meg cost as you increase the amount of data that you're buying. The next slide, it's just a graphical depiction of the cost savings versus AT&T. And the next slide is a simple comparison. We view our main competition as the mobile operator, since 99-point-something% of business travelers currently still use traditional mobile roaming. But this just gives you an example, a comparison of our service to other alternative solutions. Typically, there are two types of alternative solutions to date, which really are what I would call subpar. They don't meet the needs of the business travelers. You have consumer-grade, voice-over internet type solutions like Skype that may or may not work, and you won't be able to get a live customer support person. They don't show your mobile number when you make a call. We guarantee that when you call with our service, your number appears 100% of the time, so that people know it's you calling, so they'll answer the phone. The quality of service is obviously more suspect for a consumer-grade service, and those solutions are prepaid. So it's hard for a company to enforce a policy to make sure that somebody is acquiring a prepaid service that may not work. And then other solutions are a bit more cumbersome. They are sometimes cost-effective SIM card-based solutions where the user has to acquire and change their SIM card depending on which country they're going to. And those services are typically also prepaid. They also project out the actual telephone number for that SIM card. So if I use a UK SIM card when I'm traveling to the UK, then people won't know it's me calling when I'm calling back to the US or anywhere else in the world, because my number won't be projected. Any questions so far?
Yes, this is Joe Jasko. I don't, again, if we need to take this offline, that's fine, but wanted to bring up something. My connections, my contacts from the past has all been at the C-level with my previous business career. And I've got corporations that, logistics companies that are worldwide. I've got service providers that are worldwide. I've got integrators that are worldwide. And I don't know the best way to present this at a high level because it's not so much the pricing, it's the relationships. I've got the relationships with several organizations, but I guess I just asked all of you, what is the best way to present it with the first introduction of this new product?
Well, my view is that this is it's a known problem, it's a nagging problem. It's a thorn in the foot. I think anecdotally people know that they're paying way too much money and that their employees are trying to submit expense reports for this that are not exorbitant, but it happens all the time. Everyone hears about those stories. I think, talking about it anecdotally, that we've got a solution that can save, 50 to 80% versus traditional roaming, and that it's something that doesn't impact your current relationships with your current providers, doesn't require you to change any equipment or make any long-term commitment or investment. And it would be worthwhile to have, a sample of users, a large company, maybe 50 or 100 users, to try the service out to see whether they like it or not, to save money in the interim. And if, they're comfortable with it, then they can deploy it across their base of employees. I think that's the type of discussion that I would have at that level.
Yeah, hey, Jay, it's Dave and Joe. I agree with everything Jay said. I would add is there's really no risk to the company because if they're not making calls successfully, then there's no cost. They're gonna save on every call they make. They're not disconnecting relationships with AT&T or Verizon or T-Mobile or Sprint, as Jay said. And it's only then dependent on how many international travelers do they have, and at a minimum they're going to save 50% and maybe 80%. So there's really not a lot of risk, and there's a tremendous amount of upside. And the app, as you all on the call get to start using it, because we'd like to provision you all so you're using it, and then you can better explain it to the customer. You'll see how easy it is to use and how intuitive it is.
No, thank you very much. No, I completely agree. It's just that what I was talking about at a high level, getting the introduction to the CEO or the CFO of these organizations. I know the cost savings are there. I believe in that. I just didn't know the best way to introduce this new opportunity to some of these organizations, because I can get the calls set up, and like I say, cost savings is just the benefit. It's the relationships really that I know I can count on.
Yeah, no, exactly. And Joe, we're gonna provide a number of collaterals and tools and presentations, but also we'll make ourselves available. So if you want to have one of us from Voyport also on the call with you to kind of explain it, we're happy to do that as well. And you know, depending on the opportunity, we'll apply the right resources and support.
This is Joe Sostridge. I was wondering if you had an association of 45 individuals who were with various companies, but they belong to an international association, and I don't know what minimum number of users in each company would make it worthwhile for your company. What is the minimum number there? If it's an association of 45, they may all pick it up individually, but I don't know how many other people in their organizations would be using it.
Yeah, I think, Jay or Jeff, jump in as well. I think there's really no minimum number. If they're traveling enough and they're seeing the roaming charges and the costs, and you can apply 50 to 80% savings on that. If it's a meaningful number to them, then we would love to have them as a customer.
Yeah, this is Jeff.
Okay. Thank you very much.
This is Jeff. Just adding to that, to what Dave's saying, if they're experiencing the pain. It's a quick download of an app and a registration. We're willing to bring them on as a customer. Obviously, we'd like as many as possible out of an account or a company, but you don't turn down business if you're helping somebody.
The economics work for an individual user, especially the sweet spot is a user that's a heavy roamer, a heavy international traveler that uses their phone a lot, and if it's one or a lot, obviously you're going through a sales process. You've got to assess that for yourself. But if you've got an organization of people that are loosely, have a loose relationship, but they're not in the same corporation, overall you're bringing value to that loose relationship or that organization.
And there's a possibility that I could present to the organization. That way everybody would get the message at one time.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Hey guys, this Sherm, I want to add a piece in here as you're learning. I've seen this presentation about 4 times before we rolled it out today. Some of you on this call have seen it a couple times. Some of you not seen it at all. One of the easiest ways I have found out is 3 questions I walk in with, and as you know, I am always want to deal with CEOs if I can, because they usually are the guys that spend the most money, especially on international calls. And we're very fortunate here. We have a number of companies that are expanding into all over the world, like Papa John's and Yum and Brown-Forman, Texas Roadhouse, GE, UPS. Even if you can't get there, you'll find that a lot of the people that you deal with, I was out with some Brown-Forman people Friday night, they all make international calls. They all travel. The number seems to be per trip, 4 or 5 day trip, usually about $700. So I just ask them, do you think your company wants to save money? We all know that. That's back to the telecom business of 1980 when we competed against. It's kind of similar to AT&T in the fact that AT&T was 36 cents a minute. For those of you that have been down this trekky road for Jeff Castle, etc., Gordon Simpson, we were offered a product at 50% off. This is very similar to that. When you get their attention there, that's 1. 2, the fact that they can get somebody else on that app and they can make a call that's free I mean, it moves them. So I want to keep it as simple as I possibly can in this. They don't ask me how it works. They just want to know if they're going to save that much money. I've got guys that have spent $5,000 in 1 month on LD calls into Europe. So keep it simple. I think the explanation even gets simpler. And I've talked to probably 5 companies, and there's not one of them that's not interested. I know I got the guys from Indiana on here that are dealing with those big companies up there. They'll all love this. So let's keep it as simple as we can and not confuse it. And by the way, have you ever seen an ad by the people that are up here now, AT&T, Verizon, or Sprint, about save money on international calls? Have you ever seen a TV and a magazine where they advertise? And the reason it's not there is this is where they're making a lot of their money. And you'll be surprised when you hear about some of these rates. So, Dave, I hate to interrupt, but I just want to throw that out there.
No, very valuable, Sherm. We appreciate that, and I totally agree that, you know, the more and more I've been involved with talking to these customers, there's no one that doesn't want to hear more. And so I think Joe's question is related as well. How do we give that C-level discussion? What's the appropriate way to do it? And we'll help everyone on the call to have those and have the right tools with them.
Right. Dave, I've got a question. This is Gordon Simpson. If we have an international company that has, say, offices in New York, Paris, and London, the billing, so each of this company would sign up anybody that travels. Now, how about the people that are within London, they're calling back and forth, or when they're traveling over here, when they make their calls? How do you break that down? How is that billed?
Well, that's the beauty of it, is that wherever that person is based, all of their international travel, they're going to get the savings over the roaming and long-distance charges. And for employees that have Voyport, the Voyport call, they'll be making those calls for no charge at all, for free. So that's the perfect customer that has people in different countries, many of whom are traveling internationally. That's the perfect target.
So they don't have to be U.S.-based customers, if that was the question. They can be global. This is a global opportunity. They can be traveling from Australia to the U.S. or Japan, or from Europe to the U.S., wherever. They're paying high roaming rates from all those places.
But they would all come under the same corporate ID. Is that correct? And each of them
they get the same corporate ID if they want to have the same corporate ID. What we do is so, and just to be clear, take it one step further. So we give each agent their own agent ID, and the corporate ID for that company is based upon that agent ID. It's an extension of that ID. So the last 5 digits or so, I believe, are the actual company ID. And they can add on, there's a space in the order process to add on a department code, and it's variable in length. So if they want to track it by department, you know, I know when I worked at MCI, everything was tracked by department. And now we get it by department. So I'm sure that we can, if the London office is a different department, that's fine. If they want to set up a separate corp ID, that's okay. It would still fall under your agent ID.
Now, on the billing, is this when they sign up and get a department code, or an individual gets his code, now is this an annual, they pay an annual fee on this, or how does that work?
Jeff, you want to answer that?
We jump in and move the slides forward, because that question is answered in about 2 slides. If that's okay.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, Jeff. That's a good time to cover kind of the way it works operationally and the monthly fee and so on.
Okay. So I'm going to jump, Elizabeth, to slide 8. Sorry, was there a question there?
You got it.
Okay. We're going to head into the pricing in just a minute. And so what we first want to introduce you to is a sales approach, and we like to call it try it and buy it. In other words, play with it, use it. You're not locked in. Well, you're actually never locked in. but we're prepared and we're offering the first 30 days on us, upwards of 50 users to a customer, so one corporate account, throw 50 users on, travel around the world for a month, make calls, go crazy. We will not charge you your monthly fee. We will not charge an activation fee, and they'll be discussed in one or two slides. What we're doing, though, is we are charging for the airtime rate, our 25 and 50 cents, but they're actually saving money, because if they were paying the $1.50 that was presented earlier, I think it was AT&T, and we're charging our 25 cents as an example. Every minute they make a call, they're saving money just by testing us right off their current cost structure, and we're not charging them any of the monthly fees going through the pilot. So at the end of the 30 days, if they have not canceled, then it automatically starts charging them a monthly service fee, and that's important to all of us, because that's where that and their usage is where our revenues come from. The way for them to activate is very simple, and Jay actually pointed it out. They get the corporate ID, they download the app, whether it's iPhone, App Store, or Google Play, and so on and so forth. They register, and once you go through following the instructions and you register, you're basically live and ready to go. It's a very simple process. So, and the nice thing about that is it's scalable. You could have the 50 customers actually loading at the same time, and I'm being facetious because that'll never happen logistically, but it could happen. Or they could do it over a couple of days, but there's nothing stopping them from having 10 or 50 all at the same time or the same day start to activate. If you go to slide 9, Elizabeth, this answers the question of cost. Our standard fees, we charge $5 to activate. If a customer wants to move their accounts around, make some alterations, it's a $5 transaction charge, so that's it. We charge $10 a month in advance for the service, but, and this is a huge kicker, and if you recall what Jay and Dave and even Sherm were saying about people's costs, if they spend more than $50 a month using the Voyport service, they have no monthly service fee. It's zero. In other words, we're saying if you're using it, we're not going to charge you the monthly service fee. What we're saying, though, is if you aren't using it, it's costing us to keep a line open for you, so there's a monthly fee for that. And then you see at the next section down our rates, 25, 50, and 25. And Jay's already pointed those out. Very simple rate structure, again, as Jay pointed out. Simply make a call to Canada and Europe, 25 cents a minute. Rest of the world, 50. And all incoming calls, no matter where you are, 25 cents a minute. And the caveat, again, is that's for making normal calls. If you're a peer-to-peer Voyport to Voyport user, it's free. No matter where you are in the world, it's free. Elizabeth, can you go to slide 10? The additional service features, what you would expect with a phone service, well, simple online registration and activation. We are a cloud-based solution. In other words, it's simple. There are no SIMs, and I'm not sure if everybody understands what a SIM card is, but when you get a cell phone today, you get a little microchip card that you put in there, and that's your personality on the phone. It's called a SIM card. And with some of the competitive applications out there, you have to switch that, as Jay mentioned earlier. If you go to France, you're going to get a SIM for France, so on and so forth. This, nothing. Your line is set up the minute you register with us. You don't have to change SIMs every time you travel. We provide three-way conference calling, free international caller ID. Again, it was pointed out earlier, no matter where you are, whether you're making an outbound call or you're receiving a call, your identification is following you. So if I were in France, I called Jay, it would show him that my home system number, if it was AT&T or Verizon, whatever number, it would show up. He would know it was me. And the other thing, and I'm not sure if you covered this, Jay, but when you download the app and when you open the app, all of your current contacts in your phone automatically go over to the app as it loads, so you can actually speed dial from there. You don't have to go back and forth. It collects them and goes forward. We talked about the peer-to-peer calling, free voicemail retrieval. When you receive a call, if you don't answer the call, you're not getting charged for it. And then if you get the voicemail, you can actually check the voicemail because it comes into you on a WAV file, and you'll get an email with it as well. So we don't charge for voicemail. You're actually not going online, which you normally do with a cell company, to go get your voicemail from their database, their warehouse. You're actually getting it in your phone. We do bill in 1-minute increments, but it's in arrears. And that was pointed out earlier, and that's important because we're only charging you for the usage of the phone, the airtime minutes that you used. We're not telling you, as most other services like AT&T, where you have to buy a bucket of airtime and data ahead of time, and whether you use it or not or go over or not, well, you guys all understand those penalties and so on and so forth. We're just charging for the actual minutes you use. We provide free detailed monthly billing for expense management, again, as was pointed out earlier, and we charge direct to the corporate credit cards, which was designed to help for expense reimbursements and submission. And then again, as it was pointed out earlier, 24/7 live worldwide coverage. No matter where you are, we've got someone waiting to answer the call if something goes wrong. Elizabeth, can go to slide 11. This is the contact information. Elizabeth is going to be the key person in managing your accounts. Catherine Robertson is our Vice President of Marketing. She's on the call right now, too, to hear your questions so that we can continue to refine our service and solution for you and design marketing plans around anything that comes out of this conversation that you may have thoughts on that may enhance our service, so we've asked her to join. Elizabeth will be managing. Her contact information is there. And if you, when you get provisioned and you activate your system, you have support access to technical and customer support either via your email, an email address, or just by dialing in directly. At this point, I'd like to introduce Elizabeth, and Elizabeth, maybe you can talk through some of the background material that they should expect, like FAQs and the welcome materials and so on and so forth. And thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Jeff. Good afternoon, everybody. As everybody has said, I'm Elizabeth Davenport. I'm based in Philadelphia, and you can probably tell from my accent that I'm a native of South Philly, via London. Yes, really. I am here to help you. That's my raison d'etre. Over the next 24 to 48 hours, you will receive materials from us that give you a better in-depth of looking at the competition, looking at how things work, frequently asked questions. You'll see the materials that we send to people as they go through their registration process and then they're beginning to get access. In the short time that I have been here, we have provisioned a number of people, which has been really easy and really successfully done, very quickly done, very easily done without a great deal of trouble. Please use me and my team. We're here to help. If you have sales calls, we'll be there. If you want us to do the presentation on a meeting, more than happy to do a presentation. We'll help your customers get provisioned. We'll answer their support questions, and we'll certainly respond exceptionally quickly to you, so you'll never have to wait very long for a response or some conversation. So you have my details there. eDavenport at Voyport.com is the piece of information you need, and just remember that I'm here to help.
This is Kathy Mantney. I have a quick question. Okay, I totally understand the concept with the app, and I think this is a pretty phenomenal application that you guys have. And I do respect the fact that most enterprise companies are trying to realize some substantial cost savings, especially when you talk about international calling. My question is, most enterprise folks that I know that are traveling in major corporations are still traveling with laptops, soft phones, and I know a lot of the calls are going behind the firewall, and it's being managed from an IT perspective. So my question to you, and I'm just trying to get my, head around what's going on here. Are you guys presenting to, let's say, an IT department, and are you going in and are you doing a cost analysis of what they're spending, their senior level folks, in international calling, and then are you doing a cost comparison maybe with an Excel spreadsheet, breaking out and showing them where they would realize a true cost savings to switch from the platform they're on today, which most of them are laptops or soft phones, over to the mobile app? I'm just trying to figure out how have you been successful and what model have you been presenting and who have you been presenting to and how have you been successful selling this product before you presented it to our group today?
Jay, do you want to address that? Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
Yeah. So I have a very good question. So first of all, I think any time a company has that information, we're happy to analyze it. If they want to show us their invoices, or they want to analyze it. The reality is that companies often don't even know how much they're spending because it's something, as I mentioned, that's expensed after the fact, after the trip. What they do typically know is how many trips they take, right? And with that information about the average spend per trip, and then some sample invoices that can be analyzed, that's a typical approach that we've been successful with. Again, number of trips. If they have the information, that's great. But otherwise, number of trips. Do an assessment of a few of their sample invoices to show how much they would save, and then we can extrapolate how much they're saving. I think in terms of who we're talking to, it really depends on the company, the organizational structure, who makes those decisions. It could be a CFO. It could be a large company, chief travel officer some companies have. It could be, we try to avoid the IT department. I'm just kidding. But, we've often communicated with the IT department if they do have, the task of managing those and minimizing those types of costs, for sure. And sometimes it might be a head of a particular division that has a P&L responsibility and heavy international travel based on the responsibilities they have. If it's a sales department or an engineering department that travels a lot, that has a cost, has to manage their costs, it all depends on where we have access to. But I think you could start at any point where you have that contact, and really any point where they're making other decisions for telecommunication services.
Okay. Yeah, the reason why I asked that question is the one company that I have in mind for this, and I would actually team up with SHRM, would be UPS, because back in the day I actually sold them the Find Me, Follow Me software application, and they took that U.S. International, and that was a very large undertaking for them. I do know how they're structured. I've got some old data burnt on some disk and saved. But anyways, they do a lot of international calling in their C-level executives. But then there's a lot of international calling that goes on from senior management folks of different hubs to other hubs, just the daily traffic and the volume that they've got going on. And I'm sure that if they can see a substantial cost savings, something like this would be of interest to them. But I'm just trying to figure out, because I know when I got involved in this project before, there was a lot of cost analysis going on with spreadsheets. It's almost like we could have wrote a book on it. And I was just trying to determine, do you have a task force in place that could get behind a project that large in scope and be able to show, the ROI on moving from maybe the technology they're in today into this, and would you be able to help position us to sell it and win that type of an account?
Yes.
We certainly have the resources. We certainly are interested in pursuing that type of opportunity with you. I think the beauty of this is, and maybe other services that have been sold require the company to make a sea change immediately, where with this service, because it's application-based, they don't have to change any equipment. You walk into a company, you explain the concept, we can review a few sample invoices, we can talk about the number of trips that they take a year, and then they can potentially do a trial like we've discussed. Do a trial, 50, 100 people, try the service, and see how much they're saving.
I totally agree, and I would just add, the more data the company has on what they're spending, the better. And if we can get that data, they're willing to share that data, the more compelling the ROI is. We can take them through what we think the savings would be based on the data they provide. So if you have customers that you're that close to and, they're tracking it and they're willing to share it, then that's a beautiful opportunity for us.
Yeah, we've had customers actually tell us they're spending millions in this area.
Yeah, I could have believed that. Okay, I'll just take this one off with SHRM and see what we can put together to get something over to you to do a cost analysis for them.
That'd be great.
Yeah, perfect. Any other questions so far on what we've covered so far?
I do. This is Andrew Meltzer, and I've been listening in. I'm very intrigued with the opportunity. Let me ask you, do you have some case studies at this point with companies that are currently enjoying a savings, having switched to you?
Yeah, so that's the kind of references and so on. Jeff, I know you and Catherine are working on that. Do you want to comment on that?
There are a number of different projects. We've been going through what we call proof of technology. We launched our service in beta in January of this year, came out of beta and are in commercial launch right now. And the beta tests that we had are with some very substantial organizations in this in North America. We don't currently have white papers to give you, but we are developing them, and we'll have them out shortly.
Okay. Yeah, I would think that would be useful, but not necessary. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, and this is exactly, as we do get more and more customers on board, and as you're out talking in the marketplace, please continue to tell us, what it is you'd like us to produce. And I would also take the opportunity to make you aware, and Jeff and Catherine may want to add to it, that we're going to be relaunching our website soon. We're going to have a new look and feel. There's a lot of exciting things going on that we're going to be giving more tools and making the website even more attractive and easy to use. So stay tuned. You'll hear a lot more detail about that in the coming weeks.
Any more questions? I think
Do
we're
you
there,
have some, I had one more question. This is Andrew Meltzer again. Do you have some information specifically on the switches? You mentioned you had 100 carriers that you have access to, and that you have Class A switches, which would help differentiate the free model that's out there. I just tried a model called Viber, which is like fiber, only with a V, and it was seamless. It was a downloadable application, and so on and so forth. For a single user, it probably does a great job, but for an enterprise application, I think the case is already there. But it would help to be able to differentiate, like, what type of equipment you use that a free carrier might not.
It's interesting. I think you look at Viber. We know a lot of the competitors that are out there, and I think that some of the information you'll be getting from us will be more detailed comparisons to those services, shortly. But Viber, as an example, is it's a consumer play. Their focus is on free calling and free messaging between users. And if you would use Viber to make international calls, even if you're not traveling, you would find that they may or may not connect. You would find that your phone number doesn't project when you make that call to international destinations. Your phone number won't project because they can't, as a consumer product, they can't afford to use the premium connections that we use. They cost more money, and they don't have those connections. In terms of who we connect to, that type of thing, that's really proprietary information. The operators that we connect to on a worldwide basis, there's a confidential agreements that we have with those operators. I'm not sure what we could give you is something that you could sort of publish or present to customers. I'm not sure exactly how we can be helpful. We'll have to think about that a bit.
Yeah, I agree, Jay. I think there's something we could put together that would show how we have, such high quality assurance, and some of what you described verbally at the beginning of the call. Jay, maybe there's some one-pager we could put together that would be a good sales tool for the team on the call.
And
sure.
I'll jump in and give you an example. Just the billing structure we have alone separates us from a consumer to a corporate play. On a consumer type of service, you as the user know your bill, but your company doesn't. This information is available to your corporation as on your regular billings. So they have the information on activity as well, which a consumer play doesn't provide. And to Jay's point, the consumer play is kind of like the Skype of free calling or free video conferencing. If any of you have ever used it, I'm sure you've run across days where you wonder why you use it because the quality just drops. It's staticky, it jitters, so on and so forth. But we'll provide all the details of like we have a full-blown, for this presentation we just gave you an example of some competitive differences. We have a full-blown spreadsheet of competition that we'll provide and bring you up to speed on.
Any other questions or feedback?
Dave, question. I heard Elizabeth talk about marketing materials. I think the thing that's really, really important is we have a number of people on here that are in need of marketing materials. Can we be specific on when they will receive them?
Yeah, it should be Sherm within hours, not weeks. We're just finalizing some of the materials that are going out, including an updated competitive analysis. Since competitors are always changing their story, we want to make sure that's current. So Elizabeth will be sending out a deck of materials, the sales tools, the PowerPoint presentation, competitive analysis, a tutorial on how to use Voyport service, etc. And please use Elizabeth as, for everyone on the call, as kind of your single point of contact for what else you need, an opportunity you want to pursue, and we'll get the right Voyport resources on it immediately.
Okay.
This is Kent Benson, and we've heard a lot of great information here.
Kent, you're breaking up. Kent.
I think he's fine.
Yeah, you're cutting out.
Yeah, he's breaking up.
So Sherm, to be more specific, this may put pressure on my team, but we are targeting by tomorrow night to get the materials out that we just referenced here.
Okay. Okay.
We just want to make sure everything that we're providing is up to date, accurate, and represents both Paul as well.
Okay. And everybody always wants to know the commission on this product is 15% on a reoccurring basis every single month. 15%, 1-5, which is a very good commission out of the gate. I know we still have about 90% of the people still on this call, and we've gone over a little bit, but it is 15%. I'm open, Kevin's open, Mike's open for any and all questions. Elizabeth, we're looking forward to meeting you, and we're looking forward to hearing all the things that are fabulous about the marketing of the company.
So guys, just one last thing while we're closing up. One of our customers is just messaging me on as we're talking right now, and he just mentioned that he did a conference call from Maryland, Switzerland, and Israel this evening on the service, and he thought it was fantastic. So that's a lovely thing to end with.
Very good.
Yes.
You are in sales.
I like the word fantastic and lovely.
Well, I'm sure you'll hear both of them from me on a frequent occasion.
Mike, that means things are going good. Okay. There aren't any more questions as we try and keep these things to the solid hour, and we're starting to drop down a little bit with people because they have other calls. Dave, I want to thank you and your team for the tremendous presentation. There will be questions. We'll start flying in there, and I want you guys to feel free to call our people. We will get you a list of everybody that was on this call, telephone numbers that you can follow up to if you would like to, Elizabeth, and we'll go from there. So everybody, I appreciate your time again. Have a great time, and we look forward to getting back to you. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Sherm and everyone, thanks for the opportunity, and we look forward to working together. Thanks again. Have a great night.
Thanks.
Thank you, Sherm.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.